CollabTalk is a copyright of Collaborative ABA Services, making a difference in children's lives.
Hi everyone, welcome to CollabTalk, a new talk series by Collaborative ABA Services that provides information and resources about autism and everything in between. I'm Alicia, the founder of Collaborative ABA Services, and I'm here with our amazing, wonderful team as always. Team?
I'm Katie, I'm an occupational therapist.
I'm Bree, I'm a BCBA.
I'm Meg, I'm a licensed social worker and registered behavior technician.
So today we're going to talk about navigating the holiday season, some tips and strategies for celebrating as a family while also supporting your child's needs with autism. So as we know, the holiday season is approaching, and with the holidays may come a lot of changes to routines and environments as people celebrate in their own way. Today we are talking about how families can celebrate while also supporting your child with autism. The overall goal isn't perfection, but it's also about connection and also comfort. So please note, we always have to do our disclaimer. The purpose of this episode is to provide education and information to the community. It is not intended to critique or evaluate any specific providers, professionals, or individuals. So, okay team, let's get started and dive into this wonderful topic. So the first thing we're going to talk about is understanding the holiday experience from a child's perspective. So as we know, the holidays brings different changes in the kiddos' environments with routines. There might be some loud environments because we have visitors for the holidays, so a lot's going on. Can definitely impact the kiddo with autism.
Yeah, I think kind of recognizing that some of the things, especially like even just the difference between a kid and an adult, right? As adults, we like that break from routine, most of us. Because it's that time that we can like relax and do things differently and we don't have to be on, versus a kid with autism is like, no, this is different than what I'm used to. Like, I don't like when things break from routine. I don't like having time off. Like, I don't like having all of this different stuff. So recognizing that even though it's enjoyable for other members of the family, that might be hard for a child with autism.
Right. Everything's different.
Yeah.
Malls are louder, stores are louder, restaurants, everything.
There's music playing.
It's bright.
Everything's bright. Bells are going off all the time. There's a lot going on at during the holidays, I think,
And then also new foods, right? Because with Thanksgiving, there might be some foods that aren't usually cooked, or even Christmas, or Diwali or any other holidays. They might have a different meal that they might serve. So thinking about those changes, in addition to some unfamiliar guests that they're not used to that come to the house every day, you might have some extended family to come visit for the holiday season, and that's someone that's unfamiliar for them.
And I think kind of recognizing that most of the time our holidays are surrounding around meals and social connections, right? And if you think, okay, food and socializing, those are things that are really challenging for individuals with autism. So kind of recognizing that the things that are really big and that are extended are tough.
So it's very important to validate your child's experience and also their emotions. So if they are feeling a little bit overwhelmed with the festivities, it's okay. As a parent or caregiver, you want to support their needs. So the next thing to consider also is you want to prepare ahead of time. As we mentioned, the holiday season is filled with different changes. And with changes, kids on the spectrum don't do well with change. So you want to prepare. And what that might look like is maybe incorporating some social stories or visual schedules to preview what's going to happen in advance. So again, it kind of goes back to what we were talking about the other episode of reducing those anxieties. But also social stories or visuals can also teach those skills that they need to be more flexible.
Also practicing like some of those holiday scenarios, right? Like greeting people that maybe you haven't seen in a while, or opening gifts, or if you want your child to say thank you after they open it, whatever those family expectations are. Kind of pre-teaching them.
Or prepping them for things that they know are going to be hard. So say you're going to go visit, grandma's house, and say grandma doesn't have Wi-Fi or something. Like knowing things that are going to be tricky for them, saying, okay, we're going to go here, and these are the things that we can do, and these are, and this is the time we'll leave, and kind of just helping them understand that there might be some things that they are used to doing that may not be available.
Right. And also thinking about when we talk about modifying the environment, right? So setting them up for success. And what that might look like is giving them those sensory supports in advance or having them available or readily accessible. So like having those noise canceling headphones accessible, or, having a calming space where they can go if they're getting sensory overload, or having their fidget items available, or if they have an AAC device, having that available for them so that they can go and use it as needed if the kiddo doesn't carry it with them all day.
Yeah. I know, like, I don't know if this happens anymore, but I know, like, when I had holiday parties as a kid, we'd have, like, the coat room, or, like, that room in your house where you toss all the coats.
Yeah.
That's a perfect place to set up the sensory thing, because it's quiet, there's nothing going on. So I know, like, even when I was younger and I would get nervous, I would, like, actually hang under the coats, and, like, the deep pressure of all the coats, and I'd be like, okay,
I'm okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too in like preparation, like communicating with those family members and friends. Like, is there a space that, you know, if Charlie needs a break and needs a little quiet, like, do you have, you know, even if it's like some people have finished basements or playrooms or just side rooms, office rooms, anything that if they feel overwhelmed, can we just, is it okay with you if we go into this space or, you know, or even at your house setting that boundary? You know, have fun, but this room is kind of off limits in case so-and-so needs a break. Like, we want to keep that kind of quiet.
Yeah.
Also, like, with the food stuff, maybe packing or, like, preparing meals, like, ahead of time to
foods.
bring, like, right? Because you may be wanting your child to try new foods, but it's maybe not the setting that you encourage that.
Yeah.
Well, it's also harder, too, right? Because if you're stressed out and you're overwhelmed and you're hungry, that makes it, like, even harder. So, like, even if you have something beforehand, if you eat and the child is not hungry, but they're like, hey, let's try mashed potatoes. Oh, look, it's squishy. It's this. So kind of helping them to not have to have, like, multiple things to work on at once, kind of focusing on just one.
Yeah.
And also practicing ahead of time, you know, getting some of those or making some of those foods or buying like pre-prepared meals, like just to introduce them ahead of time.
That's a great idea.
You know, and then again, communicating with friends and family, like don't take offense that that you know,
that
this just isn't kind of in their repertoire of favorite foods. But yeah, always practicing. It makes me think too with preparing, like you were saying, like gifts. Like past. We were talking about this one day. I would pack up my son's snacks for school that were preferred for like the week or two before Christmas, so that it seemed more preferred to open gifts.
That's a great idea.
Because he anticipated something he really liked.
That's
so
a great
even
idea.
on Christmas morning, I wrapped up a bag of Sun Chips.
Yeah.
And he just wanted to keep going because he was like, "There's more.
Yeah, smart boy.
Just creating that momentum.
Sun Chips all the way.
And also involve your child in the planning process. So, like, you want to choose traditions or activities that they enjoy.
Yeah.
Because if you incorporate their interests, they're also more likely to get involved in those festivities. So, another thing to consider is setting realistic expectations. So, it is okay to modify or skip traditions that may feel overwhelming.
Yeah.
And that is okay because you're meeting your kiddo where they are. Another thing is also to focus on meaningful, manageable moments rather than trying to do everything. Is huge. And also discussing with family members ahead of time, kind of, Meg, I think you were talking about this earlier, like talking to family members ahead of time about your child's needs and boundaries so that everyone's on the same page. Because if everyone knows, like, was it Charlie needs a certain space to calm down, then everyone's going to respect that specific space because they know in advance. Or if everyone knows that, hey, you know, Charlie, you know, gets overwhelmed when a lot of people are together in a specific space, then they're more aware, and I think they can also be more understanding.
Yes.
And you can also try to find things that are easy to do but that are sensory friendly. Like I know I think it's called something different in different places, but like a holiday lights show. Like there's ones where you can walk around and sometimes those are really beneficial. Or I've known that some families have done one where you're in the car and you just drive around and you look at the lights, and that can be something, say you have a family member that really wants to spend time with Charlie, but they, you know, you say we're not going to go to the big party this year. Maybe that family member can come in the car with Charlie and you guys can look at the lights together. Like you can find ways for your child's interests and sensory preferences can meet to be enjoyable.
Another thing to consider is handling sensory challenges and transitions are huge during the holidays. So think about strategies for, you know, crowded gatherings we were just mentioning, you know, setting aside those quiet areas, maybe looking at doing like small group visits at a time if having a large group is a trigger for your kiddo, or even early exits where, you know, if you have a group of people, then, you know, it's not for a long duration of time. It's more tolerable and also helpful for you. Also, going back to like having that toolkit or that bag for them, so looking at like those familiar comfort items or routines that we set up, and that might lead back to like the social stories or the visual schedules, are helpful in handling those sensory challenges. And also, like what Katie was saying, handling those or creating those sensory-friendly activities.
Yeah.
You know what that makes me think of is like when your parents would stuff you in those awful outfits.
Yeah.
Like,
or the Christmas story. I can't put my arms down.
Right. So like if they don't want to change out of their jammies
Like,
that day, like pick your battle.
Right.
You know, I
Right.
used to get my son tuxedo t-shirts.
Mhm.
Just to be like fun, because, like
Yeah.
festive tuxedo
Yeah.
t-shirts, because it's just, you know, you don't have to put them in suspenders and a bow tie if it's
No.
really going to make the day miserable.
Exactly.
You know, pick your battles.
Right. And another thing to consider is communicating with family and friends, and this kind of goes back to what we were saying earlier about letting them know in advance your child's needs in a positive, but you want to be strength-based way. So, you know, using those positive wordings is very key. Like just saying, hey, you know, Tony does well with quiet spaces, or Tony does well with one item on his plate at a time. So phrasing it in a positive manner, because also you are also expressing your child's needs.
Right.
And the communication thing reminded me of something we talked about in the other episode about like prepping people, like whether the child uses an AAC, like a tablet to communicate, whether they use like, you know, the PECS communication, but you can also prep, you know, mention prepping your kid for gifts. You can prep your kid to greet family members. So I know that like my family's a big hugger, right? So everybody hugs everybody. For a child with sensory issues or autism, that can be really challenging. So prepping, so when grandma walks in the door, can we give grandma a high five? Can we wave to grandma? Can we say hi? Can we give grandma a fist bump? Like, what are the ways that your child is comfortable greeting family members, and how can we prep and prepare for that so that those family members don't feel like the child doesn't want to see them, even though it's hard for them.
And also, like when communicating with family and friends, also addressing those misunderstandings.
Yes.
So, like, you know, they might be like, oh, well, Tony's being rude because he's yelling and screaming at the table. And it's like, he's not being rude. He just needs a break. So we're framing it in a positive way. We're helping with functional communication and helping them understand that, hey, you know, my kiddo is behaving a certain way because they're communicating a specific need.
Yes.
I saw an idea, and I thought it was really cool, like in lieu of Christmas cards, when you have a family member with special needs, sending out like a newsletter to give updates. Like Charlie loves Tootsie Rolls, and you know, but he doesn't like candy canes, and like making it cute, like talking about what they do like, but then also like the things that they don't like. So if you are going to like that family member's house, kind of a little bit of like antecedent manipulation, like they're gonna have Tootsie Rolls, you know, and not gonna offer the candy canes, things like that, to kind of make those transitions like easier without having to formally like communicate, especially like in front of the kids. So you have and also just kind of giving like a cute update.
Yeah, that's
it also
a good
takes
idea.
the stress away from making that perfect little Christmas card.
Yeah, exactly.
I've seen families do that for like gifts for kids of all ages, whether they have autism or not. You know, you can get those kind of like, it's like those would you rather things you do for say like a bridal shower or something, is like heels or sneakers or whatever. You can find those things, my favorite color, my favorite candy, like things that I like, and so you can have some of those things too, being like, hey, these are things that I enjoy to prep for the holidays, being like, what should I get Charlie, or like, you know, what can I bring to this, like having some of those things can give family members things to choose from and help with that gift giving.
So you want to encourage inclusive activities that everyone can enjoy, and I really like the newsletter because it kind of helps with thinking about activities like, oh, I know that Charlie likes a certain type of candy, so maybe we need to incorporate that as like one of our like candy bowls. So another thing to also think about is creating new and inclusive traditions. So just like I was mentioning about encouraging inclusive activities, you want to encourage inclusive traditions as a family. So kind of like going back to like the sensory friendly lights, maybe incorporating maybe some small family baking sessions, some nature walks, or gift exchanges focused on connection, or even kind of like what Meg was saying about like the wrapping. And then it kind of built up to the big day of unwrapping, which is great. Also, you know, emphasizing the importance of flexibility. So like the family's version of the holidays can look different, but still be special. And I think that's very important. Everyone doesn't celebrate the holidays the same way. Every family has a different culture, you know, different traditions that they follow, and that's okay. No two families are the same. Kind of like with autism, no two children on the spectrum are the same.
And kind of, sorry, Meg.
No, that's okay. I was just gonna go off the flexibility, like, it makes me think about like when we decorate this tree and then there's like 18 bulbs right here.
Yes.
Just gotta let it it go.
Yes.
Yeah. And there was an elf that I liked next to the fireplace, but my child doesn't like looking at it, so he moves it to somewhere else. Just like let it go. I like it there, but if it makes the day easier, just let it go.
And that's like the purpose, right? What I was going to say was like the purpose of the holidays is joy. You want to enjoy yourself. You want to be happy. You want your child to be happy. And so sometimes we have ideas of things that we think will be a really good idea, and it could go really well, or it could be a complete hot disaster. But realizing that like your family is really what you want to do, right? Like that's kind of like what you're looking for.
Right. So in closing, we encourage families to reflect on what brings you peace and joy during the holiday season. Remember that flexibility is key in making the season meaningful. So thanks for tuning into this episode of CollabTalk. If you found this information valuable, please don't forget to like, subscribe, and also hit the bell so you never miss an episode. Got thoughts or questions? Drop them in the comments. We'd love to hear from you as always. Until next time, let's keep this conversation going. To learn more about Collaborative ABA Services, check us out on our website at collaborativaabaservices.com. Also, check out our new online merch store at collaborativabastore.com. And also, if you ever wonder what we're up to, check out our social media pages at Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, and
TikTok.
Oh, yeah, and TikTok. Thank you.
Happy holidays.
Happy holidays.
CollabTalk is a copyright of Collaborative ABA Services, making a difference in children's lives.